Hello, everyone. We are the DVD Geeks. I'm Matthew,
And I'm Harrison.
and we're here today for a very special episode.
It's been a long time coming, Matt. We all knew this was going to have to happen at some point, and this is the week.
This is it, Game of Thrones week. Now, before we start,
Yes.
spoiler city ahead.
Yeah,
Spoiler city ahead. So, I guess the warning would be if you're not caught up to date with the very last episode, you might not want to watch this.
You want to get out of
You just want to get out of Dodge right now, but come back later and watch it, of course,
Right,
after you watch
of
Game
course.
of Thrones, because we're gonna throw some things out that we'll spoil it for you.
This is the latest in Game of Thrones spoilers.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's definitely. We're both big Game of Thrones freaks. Would that be the
I've
word?
got a tattoo
He's
on
got a
his
tattoo.
shoulder, but it's covered up with the shirt. But yeah.
Okay, he's got it covered up. It's Sansa.
Right.
Sansa Stark right there on the arm. So what I thought we would do is we're going to kind of go through each of the different areas on the map, so to
Yeah.
speak, where things are happening. And we're just going to kind of give our idea of what we think is going to happen.
Sure.
We've got, 4 more episodes, I think, this season?
Yeah, take 4 more.
So we thought maybe we'd come back later and kind of test ourselves.
Recap.
See how well we did. So,
Sure.
why don't you start? You get us going here.
Let's start in my favorite city with my favorite character,
Mm-hmm.
Miss Arya Stark.
Okay.
In Bravos.
Bravos.
Now, what is Matthew? This is a strange development in the latest episode. You know, we all thought that Arya was brainwashed to the point that she was just a faceless nothing. I am no one. Was going to be part of the whole, House of Black and White crew. Things have taken a turn here.
I think her watching the drama of the history of what happened and reliving the death of her father again really sparked something in her.
It brought back some memories.
It brought back some memories, and I think what happened was that she just no more senseless killing.
Right.
I think.
Right.
And
Or
she
calculated.
she saw that murdering the actress was just a senseless killing. It had no purpose.
No purpose.
So I think
Good
that
point.
she is going to have a very interesting storyline.
Yeah, I'm excited with the sword. It's almost like the sword of the stone. And oh my gosh.
She's coming back, and then she's going to have Jaqen after her, I'm sure, for leaving.
Yeah, and we talked about this because she is. I think that she's for sure going to kill the waif.
The waif, yeah.
That's
So
gonna
the
happen.
waif is the young girl that's kind of been training her.
That's going to happen.
That's going to happen.
Fact. Now, Matthew and I were toying with 2 different theories in this. One is that she, like you said, escapes with Jaqen close on her heels.
On her heels.
I toyed with the idea. I wonder if she kills Jaqen.
That could
She
be.
becomes the new head honcho.
That very well could be. That's
She would
a
be
very
Position of
interesting.
serious power.
And part of me wonders whether there will be a even greater Stark reunion in the future.
Oh, I think that's the
That could be a possibility. So that's going to be a very interesting storyline as that plays out. And I think she's gotten a lot of camera time this season, which has been nice.
Yeah, really.
Because that storyline was kind of bogged down a little bit.
Yeah.
And they kicked it up a little bit.
She, of all the characters that Arya, I just love how you see her evolution. She's just so interesting how her character changes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
how she's a cold-hearted
Think of what
killer.
it's been difficult for her from the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't want to go to King's Landing in the first
Yeah.
place. Then her dad gets her head chopped off, and then
One thing leads
one
to
thing
another.
that, now she's a
Now she's an
cold-blooded,
assassin.
calculated killer. I mean, it's great. It's every parent's dream for your child. It really is. Let's go beyond the wall.
Oh, boy.
Okay, up into the north where we have Bran, we have Mira, we have the White Walkers, and now we have the addition of Benjen Stark.
Hands are getting cold.
Yeah, very, very. He has made his way back. Let's start with Bran, because if anything right now in this show is going to make your head spin, it's going to be the Bran storyline, how he is moving back and forth in time.
Yes.
I don't think it's time travel. Do you feel like it's time travel?
No, it seems like he's visiting a different point in time.
It's like being a person who is able to witness history without changing it. But
there's the catch.
okay, the three-eyed raven told him that the ink on the page is dry, which meant that you couldn't change anything in the past. But his dad's walking up the steps of the castle, and he hollers his name, and his dad turns as if to hear.
Yeah.
And then the whole Hodor thing.
That was weird.
That was just, I mean, there's a lot to be fleshed out.
That was
with
kind of like a
Bran.
Matrix moment.
That was a Matrix moment.
Yeah.
So was, and if any of you know as you're watching this and you want to throw this in the comments, I would love to hear your comments on this.
Right.
When the whole Hodor thing was happening, was he in the past? Was he in the present? Was he in both? I mean, it was just really, it was strange because it seemed like it affected child Hodor,
Yeah.
but then adult Hodor paid the price. It was just very very
it was
convoluted
just
there, I guess.
Very convoluted is an excellent word for it, and I just want to see what the next flashback will be. I want to see what that. I'm sure there's going to be another one.
Oh, yeah. And in the flashback he had this last week, we saw the Mad King, getting stabbed by Jaime, and we saw a lot of flashbacks. We saw his dad being beheaded. We saw the Red Wedding. We saw a bloody hand at the end. Did you notice that?
Did.
The bloody hand, which
Bloody hand.
I'm going to say is probably Ned's sister after
Yes.
after giving birth. That's my theory.
You know, back to that scene though with the the Mad King. What's his catchphrase? Burn them all or something.
Burn them all.
I've read some fan theories talking about how repeating these phrases like Hodor, hold the door. Some people wonder if burn them all was Bronn some kind of weird convoluted time
premonition. And then we've got the whole idea that's going on, and if we had more time we'd talk about it. Is Bran really Bran the Builder, and all the way back through history? I mean, there's a lot that goes on, a lot of things there. Benjen Stark makes his return. In the books, there is a character by the name of Cold Hands.
Yes.
That actually aids Bran north of the Wall. I would assume Benjen and Cold Hands here are one and the same.
I would assume so too. You know, there's some. I think that Cold Hands in the books rode upon a elk.
Yeah, on an elk.
And was described as having black.
Yeah.
And I think that Martin. I think that there might be. I think he is. I think that Benjen for sure is Cold.
Cold Hands. I agree with that. And then the whole. I mean, the White Walkers. What can you say? I mean, the scene with Hodor was like, it was like The Walking Dead north of the Wall.
Man,
I mean, it was brutal. And of course, one of my favorite characters, Hodor, is no longer with us.
Yes.
But here's an interesting question. Hodor was, and as we're going along, please comment on these if you have any comments. He was attacked by the White Walkers. Will Hodor now be a White Walker?
That would be crazy if he was.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we burned the bodies, so that they just throwing that out there.
That'd be pretty depressing.
That would be pretty depressing. Hodor as a White Walker, but
insult to injury.
Insult to injury, definitely. Okay, take us somewhere else on the map.
Let's see here. Well, if we go, we're kind of moving. Started in Bravos, went beyond the wall.
Okay.
Let's kind of get back. Let's go to the north.
Okay.
To Castle Black.
Castle Black.
To Winterfell. There's plot lines evolving here.
Okay.
One of the big highlights of the season so far was the reunion between Sansa and Jon Snow.
Yes.
And that was a wild thing to happen. It looks like we're on track for some kind of Winterfell siege.
There's going to be a battle at Winterfell before the season's over.
I think
I really think that's going to happen.
I think that's going to be that's going to be the season finale.
I think the chess pieces of who, what, and where are still being manipulated a little bit. I think we know for sure Ramsay Bolton.
Please die.
And please die, Ramsay.
Yes.
Great character, but we hope you die quickly.
Very quickly.
Painfully.
Oh god.
This is DVD Geeks Unplugged. So we can say that.
We're laid back.
We're laid back here. So yeah, I think Ramsay will be there. Jon and Sansa, Davos, the Wildlings will be there. Littlefinger.
What is going to happen with that thing, man?
Part of me, we had this conversation before we started filming, that we feel that Littlefinger will probably die as a result of this. But then there's just that Littlefinger part of him that he always just wiggles through the cracks and, comes out on top. Now he's bringing the Tully army with him, which really didn't evoke a lot of horror in me when I looked at those guys. They were kind of old and didn't. Now there may be others, but
you think about like the White Walkers and Tully are scary factors.
If you remember when their dad died, Edmure couldn't even shoot the arrow into the raft. So I mean, we got some fine marksmanship.
But you think that Littlefinger and the Tully crew will be there at the Winterfell?
I think so. I think we're just going to have this clash of wildlings. Maybe even some of the Night's Watch goes. I don't know. We've got I think Ramsey and the Boltons. That's going to be a battle.
That's going to be the season.
That's going to be the big
cap.
season thing. I think
gonna be
that's big. Of course, Jon Snow coming back from the dead was a big thing.
That
Did you
was a
think it was going to
highlight.
happen?
I think I think we
I
all knew
did too.
that was going to happen.
I think it was going to happen. How it happened was, I will say, was not my theory.
What was your theory?
I told you my theory was, I thought that he had the warging abilities too, and he went into his direwolf and was in his direwolf and then came back. But according to the show, it was all Melisandre, the Red
magic.
Priestess, that brought him back. So
Well, she's kind of been put. Speaking of Melisandre, she's kind of been on the back burner since.
yeah, ever since she raised him, and her powers have kind of gone, and we had that horrible reveal of her age at the end.
Yeah,
of
that was
that was pretty horrible.
That was probably the scariest moment in Game of Thrones.
I think it was
At this point.
worse than beginnings. I tell you another character in the North that I'm beginning to like is Davos.
Davos, yeah, he's
The
interesting
Onion
guy.
Knight.
Onion Knight.
He's I think he's going to have a big part to play in what happens, in this whole battle. I
Right.
think there's going to be something that happens there. And then of course
Gosh.
we got to talk about Brienne.
Yeah. And that kind of brings back into the little finger.
The little finger thing,
yeah. Interesting because Brienne at this point is headed back to the Riverlands,
Right.
ostensibly.
Yes, to look up Blackfish, who escaped the Red Wedding.
Which brings another player into the situation, Mr. Jaime Lannister.
Jaime Lannister. Yes.
What's your name for Jaime?
Uncle Father of the Bride.
Uncle Father of the Bride.
Yes.
Hashtag.
Uncle Father of the Bride.
So that's going to be a whole nother can of worms. What is going to transpire?
It can only. I don't know. They left.
Gosh.
They left, and when she left King's Landing, she and Jaime left on great terms.
Yeah.
I thought, despite the journey they had together, which was horrible, but they left on good terms. Now they're going to be enemies again, or
Who knows?
we don't know. And when we get to King's Landing, I'll
Yeah,
bring
well,
up
let's
I'll bring
hold
up
off.
another
Yeah,
I'll bring up
hold
another thought on that when we get
Yeah.
the King's Landing. And then of course we would be terrible if we didn't mention the fact that the budding romance
Oh.
that's happening between
Yeah.
Tormund and
And Brienne.
Brienne. We'll see what happens
This
there.
could be a spin-off romance movie.
It could be. I mean,
Romantic comedy, rom-com.
when
Yeah.
Tormund met Brienne,
It's going to happen.
just the way. We'll leave that.
We'll wait on that.
We leave that. Let's go to Marine. Well, no, actually, real quickly. Let's go to Winterfell real quick.
Okay.
Just with Ramsay Bolton there, we kind of talked about that. We're all kind of hoping that Ramsay
Yeah.
finally gets what he deserves. But then again, it's guys like that on Game of Thrones who survive.
Well, they do.
They just survive, and
Survive and
you
thrive,
just
man.
you just never know. So that could happen. Over in Marine, this is where we have Tyrion, we have Varys, we have Missandei, we have Grey Worm, one of the Unsullied.
Yeah.
And it seems that Tyrion has now become pretty much like the governor or whatever
Right.
of Marine. He's kind of if you look at Tyrion's history, he's good at that.
Oh, yeah.
When
this
he
is
was the
perfect.
hand of the king in King's Landing, he was great. I mean, he got him through the battle of Blackwater Bay, got him through all of that. So I mean,
He's an intellect.
he's
in his
very-
comfort zone right
he,
now.
he- like he said, I drink and I know things.
That's right.
I mean, that's really all you need to know to be a politician. I drink and I know things. Sorry, all my politician friends. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. I would assume, and we'll go ahead, if we want to go ahead and talk about the Dothraki Sea now, we can kind of pull that into this because it's kind of related with Daenerys coming. I assume she's coming back to Marine. She'll have to because she has to get the army. She has to get the Unsullied
Yeah.
and her other armies there and get them on their way.
That's the real dilemma right now is Daenerys and her crew, her assets are so
Spread
all
out.
over the place
Yeah.
right now. Nothing is consolidated. It was cool to see one of the dragons reunite with Danny.
That was Drogon, I think, the big one.
Drogon.
Drogon. And the other two that Tyrion took the chains off. I don't know
Where are
what's
they at?
happened with them. I guess they're still underground
I see.
doing their thing. I
guess
don't
so,
know,
yeah.
but they're going to play a part too. I would love to see Tyrion ride a dragon,
That would be cool.
especially with his history of loving dragons when he was a little kid.
wow.
That'd be kind of a nice touch.
But I guess the question is, with the Daenerys plot, she has clearly rallied the support of the Dothraki crew.
Right.
They just have an issue of ships right now. I don't think that they're going to be able to make any advancements as far as getting to King's Landing
No.
this season. That's not going to happen.
No, it's going to take a while for them to get to Westeros.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to have to. That's going to take a while. We've also got one of my favorite characters is Jorah Mormont.
Yeah.
You know, I've always liked him from the very
Yeah.
liked him from the very beginning, and now he's got the stone disease, and of course Daenerys sent him out and said, "Come back healed," which, you know, after so much had gone on through those two, that was a very heartfelt moment in the show. Now,
Gosh.
Stannis Baratheon's daughter Shireen,
Yes.
who unfortunately was burned to the stake, another very rough scene in Game of Thrones.
That was a low moment.
That was a low moment.
Yeah.
She had that disease, but was cured of it. So I think we're going to see Jorah kind of on a side quest, kind of trying to figure out how to get this. My thought is he is going to go to Westeros, find the cure, and then he will start heading back about the time Daenerys hits the shores. That's a lot to happen, but that's my thinking ahead.
Gosh,
you know,
that'd be crazy.
that would be very crazy. And she's got Dario with her, Naharis, that can kind of direct her and help her out, and then just the craziness of the Dothraki. I mean, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of
That's and just a side note too. They have a complete language. They created.
Really?
I read this that they created a Dothraki language just for the show.
That's
All of that she says is an actual written language. It's not just her uttering
nonsense.
like she's not like speaking in tongues or something. You know, she's just so
very kind of Tolkien-esque.
very Tolkien-esque, very
like
Tolkien-esque. Yeah. So now we have to connect another dot to that story, and that would be the Iron Islands with the Greyjoys.
With Sasha and Theon.
Yep.
What's going on, Matt?
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
First, on that island where the Greyjoys have the Iron Islands there, I didn't see a whole lot of trees to build a whole lot of ships.
Yeah, they seem like they had a shortage of that.
So I don't know how they're going to make 1,000 ships out of that. But then again, this is fantasy, and you remove impossibility.
Right.
I think Theon and his sister are on their way to meet Daenerys.
Yeah.
To say, okay, here, we've got the ships. Let's get you over here. They will broker some kind of bargain with her.
Right.
Leadership type of bargain, maybe.
You're right.
With her. Tyrion will be involved in that to some degree. That's going to be a real... I could be totally wrong. They could be sailing off for somewhere else. I don't know.
I wanted to mention something. At this point, as far as the Iron Islands go, I mean, Sasha, Theon, and their whole group of Ironborn, they haven't made a whole lot of friends politically.
And they're not really... They're not real impressive.
They're not.
I mean...
No.
Just on a comical side note, when you have to have rope bridges between your buildings,
that's a sign.
That's a sign that the economy's not real well.
Right, financially, maybe the Iron Islands are not
as
so
iron
hot.
as we think they are. So yeah, that's going to be a whole.
I agree. Though. I think their only option is to go meet
Daenerys, and it's going to be a race between them and Uncle Euron to see who gets to Daenerys first.
Right, because right when we left, their uncle. He said, I've heard of a queen, and he was.
He knew. I mean, he knew.
It's going to be crazy.
That's going to be a crazy fight for her allegiance. Then Hornhill. Hornhill we saw for the very first time this last week, episode 6. That's where Samwell is from.
Samwell.
And really, truly, what's the only thing you can say? Father of the Year award for that one? I mean, Daddy wasn't very nice, and we knew Daddy wasn't very nice from the first time that Samuel made an appearance in season 1 when he talked about his dad, and I love the vindication at the end when he steals the sword.
Was it Heartsbane?
Heartsbane.
That was so cool.
Valyrian steel. Yeah, and for those of you who have watched, Valyrian steel will kill a White Walker. So and of course Sam's already killed one, so he's got one under his belt. And that could be real interesting. What's going to happen? I guess they're going to go to the Citadel.
I was going to ask.
That would be
you think they are going to go there? Will they make it? Will they turn up? Will they meet somebody on the way?
Either they're going to go to the Citadel or they're going to get word of this big battle.
See, that's what I was leaning towards. I was leaning because his father said to him, he said, you never learn how to wield a sword. You're never a man. He takes Heartsbane. I kind of wonder if he's going to say, I'm a warrior now. I think that would be a strange plotline to get Heartsbane to go to the Citadel And just, I don't know how long studying to be a Meister takes, but there would be a lot of time for just...
A lot of time. And it would have been real interesting, too, if Sam could have had a Tyrion Tywin scene.
Yes.
On
the toilet?
On the toilet with the
Heartsbane.
With heart, and that would have solved the problem. But, we can't recycle storylines. That's not the way we do things. So,
oh gosh.
Okay, so we've I think we've hit everywhere on the map so far. We just do King's Landing. We really didn't get a lot to talk. We need to talk about King's Landing. Jaime and Cersei are two very unhappy people right now.
Yes.
They have no power, and then Tommen this last week makes an alliance with the Faith Militant, which. Do you think that was a total manipulation by Marjorie?
I think it has to.
I think it was. I think she manipulated the whole situation to get out of having to do the walk.
Yes, and then also she's in a much significant...
She's in Cersei's nothing now.
I just can't believe Tommen. Why are all of Jaime and Cersei's kids just like incapable of handling responsibility? They're so...
Well, maybe... Because Cersei's kind of incapable of handling anything.
I thought you were going to say maybe because they were...
Oh, well, yeah, that could be too. Uncle, father of the bride.
Father of the bride.
Good point. Good point. That could be, but I think Tommen is just swayed by whatever.
Yeah,
I think if Marjorie said boo, he would jump. He's so puppy loved with her.
He is.
And that's and then we got a lot of people. The High Sparrow.
Gosh, what on earth?
That is. Such a great character.
It was. He is a great character.
A lot of people complained about his long speeches and his stuff, but such a strong, powerful, manipulative character with no weapons, no army. Well, he does have a little army, but just very, very powerful.
You're right. It was one of the coolest moments because the High Sparrow. Sometimes you're almost kind of drawn in like Tommen is. He's a kind heart. He's the right motivations, but you see the look on the High Sparrow's face. In this past episode, when they opened the doors and Marjorie comes out,
it was just like
you see it on his face.
He was so smug. I mean, it was just like
he just knew
I won.
Yeah.
And then you got the Tyrells, Elena, the Marjorie's. I guess that's her grandmother. I believe it is, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense. She looks like a grandmother.
She's not going to be a very thrilled person with all this. You could just kind of tell in the whole thing. So that whole King's Landing, as much as we're going to have a battle at Winterfell. I wouldn't be so surprised if we have an inner battle in King's Landing, kind of a civil war between, the Lannisters, the Tyrells, the Faith Militant, all that.
In the last episode too, to this point, Cersei mentioned Jaime's being sent off to the Riverlands, right? And Cersei says, or I think Jaime says, I want to be there for your trial.
Mm-hmm.
And Cersei says it will be a trial by combat, and I have the mountain.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about your...
Oh, yeah, my theory on this. Okay. No, it's
Is it okay?
Great. Yeah, perfect.
This is fascinating stuff, people.
They're going to have this trial by combat. Okay, so she's got... I think his new name is Robert the Strong. I think it's Robert the Strong. I call him Gregor Stein.
Gregor Stein.
Whatever he's one big dude.
Gregor Stein.
One of the great scenes was taking the head and just bam against the wall.
Yeah, that's pretty brilliant.
Took care of him right there.
Problem solved.
But... The Faith Militant has no one who can handle him. Nobody that could handle him.
Mm-mm.
There's one person who could handle him. A person that we never had complete confirmation that they died. A lot of fan theories. And that would be the Hound.
That would just be the coolest thing to happen in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Mr. Clegane comes back and has this trial by combat with his father not with his father, with his brother.
That would be wild.
That's a theory of mine.
Gosh.
And never have I ever watched anything, a TV show or anything of this nature, and ever really thought it out like I have this show. This is a very mental show.
It prompts you. It's almost like you used an analogy with chess. You kind of are anticipating the next move of the riders. Where's it going to go?
And then it doesn't go that direction, and you're like, gosh.
Oh, it's fascinating.
It really is fascinating. And you've learned from season 1. Yeah. Don't get attached to anybody.
Don't get attached.
I was immediately attached to Ned Stark. So much, you see where that got me.
You see where that went. Yeah.
So I didn't get very far there. So yeah, you got to be careful. Some questions. Since we've kind of hit, is there any other kind of theories or anything out there that you're?
No, we covered it. I think
I think we did. With kind of our predictions on what we think is going to happen. We've got some questions through Facebook, on our Facebook page, and different things like that. And I've got a couple that I'll share. And the first one's really interesting, from Pamela Volkman. Thank you, Pamela, for writing in.
Absolutely.
When's the next book going to be available for sale? We've got our 5 beautiful copies there. That's the and that is the Game of Thrones Bible, by the way. If you have not read that and a Game of Thrones fan, that's the Bible. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
The title is called The Winds of Winter, and the rumor is by the end of this year.
Well, you know what? George R. R. Martin is like the Maynard James Keenan of
Yeah.
You know, it's like, when's the next Tool album going to come out? It doesn't. It just is not going to.
You know,
don't even think about it. Just don't even
He
worry.
does not. Timelines do not exist other than in his books. Not exist.
I'm not so sure if he cares about writing. I think he's probably loving just going to conferences and making
and he's still got a couple
show.
more books to go after this to finish this thing up. So
I don't think it's going to be.
It'll be interesting. That's what I've heard. End of the year. Another question. Our good buddy Doug Hanselman. Thanks, Doug. Always giving us good things. He asked, do you think it was a good idea to call the show Game of Thrones after the first book, instead of calling it A Song of Ice and Fire after the book series?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I think Game of Thrones actually kind of talks more to what it's all about.
Right.
I mean, this whole series is nothing more than a battle for an Iron Throne.
You're right, and it's a great point, because this is a fantasy show, but as far as the prevalence of fantasy goes in this, we have a handful of dragons, but this isn't like Harry Potter. This is a very political.
It's very political. Very there is some magic, but tastefully and not overdone.
Exactly.
And I just think Song of Fire and Ice, it probably just didn't. And Doug, they probably ran this through 100 million different focus groups to figure out who liked it the most. But I personally like Game of Thrones.
I like the
myself.
name too.
I do.
You don't think it could have been? This is probably dwelling too long on a question, but I wonder if they anticipate, because at the time they started making the show, the books weren't done. They weren't sure if they're going to pick.
Maybe they thought this is a one series thing, and we'll just leave it at Game of Thrones.
Kind of like Last Kingdom.
Yeah. Next thing you know, boom, just took off. Do you have any questions?
Well, I got a question from a friend of mine who was curious to know, and this is definitely reaching into the very distant future here.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you think this is going to be resolved in the long term? Because we've talked about, I've heard some stuff online that maybe we only have 13 more episodes.
Yeah, 13 more episodes. I kind of hope that's not true.
You said what?
Could this just go on forever? I want to be talking about Sansa's great grandchildren.
Right.
But it can't go on forever because of actors and actresses and contracts. It's not. You get to a point with a season and it just our show it has to go. But you're thinking more of what's the end game going to be?
Exactly.
How is this? Who's going to end up on the throne? It certainly was Tywin at one time, but not anymore. He kind of died there, like Elvis.
Like Elvis.
I have two.
Okay.
The two that I would choose, I think that would go. Number one, this one probably won't surprise you, Daenerys.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
She's just going, unless something just unbelievably crazy happens, she is going to storm Westeros like it's never been. But
is she fit to rule, though?
She's very, very flaky when it comes to ruling. What does Dragonfire do to a White Walker? Do we know that? Will Dragonfire, I think
that would have to be.
I mean, we saw Benjen just use regular fire and it burned him up. So
little ball and chain.
Think of that dragon could come in there and wipe out a whole line of So she's got, as far as who is the most powerful right now, hands down, she is the most powerful. She's the most powerful person on the map.
She just get her stuff over.
Yeah, she's got to get it on the right side of the map, which we talked about. My other My other one, this is probably going to be maybe not what everybody would think. Arya Stark.
Wild.
Arya Stark. She's just there's a cunning, there's a survivalist type of person there.
How would that play out?
I have no idea how that would play out. I can't even imagine how it would play out. I just kind of think that in my mind.
I think that would be.
I'm grasping for sure.
I'm with you on the Stark. I wonder sometimes if who's the oldest Stark son right now?
Bran.
I think you
Could
think about Bran's future with his current, his legs, he's paralyzed.
Yeah.
I could definitely see Bran with his knowledge and inside look into the minds of kings, into the worlds of past kings who've been his father, and going back to the time of the Mad King, and he would just be such a fitting and wise, and
he would be like a king and a maester all together. I mean, he would have it. He would have it all. I just wonder if, when it's all said and done, we started with the Starks being so brutally taken out,
big time,
that their redemption is finally getting the throne. I don't know. Then again, we may all be surprised and Littlefinger sits on the throne when it's done.
Or
and I've heard
survives.
If Ramsay survives, there's no way I will continue.
Littlefinger, that would be neat.
Yeah, Littlefinger. I've seen that out there before. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
Ooh, is Sansa as his wife?
That'd be horrible.
That would be terrifying.
That would be terrifying. But then that's Game of Thrones.
It's Game of Thrones.
That's the way it works. So, anything you want to add? This is not your typical DVD Geeks. We call this DVD Geeks Unplugged. We've been dying to do Game of Thrones and just kind of throw out all of our thoughts.
Yes.
We want you to comment in the sections below and let us know what your theories are. We're going to revisit this down the road.
Oh, we are.
We're going to see how we did with that and everything. Next time we're together, we will do some movies, I think.
Yep.
We'll review a couple of movies for you, and back to our old format. And we are thinking, I think we're going to do these a little more regular during the summer.
I think we should.
A little more frequently, so we'll have probably more videos for you guys to watch. And share them, put them out there for us, and we appreciate you guys watching.
Thank you guys.
We are the DVD Geeks. I'm Matt.
I'm Harrison.
See you guys.